Hi guys, Richard from SharpshootingUK here. Just wanted to have a little update for you, just give you a little update on the Calypso ultrasonic wind meter. Very exciting new product. I've got all the solvers and I'm using them all day, every day during the ballistics courses here at SharpshootingUK. And I thought it would be helpful because the info isn't really out there at the moment as to how they connect. Okay, so there are various modes that the ultrasonic meter works in, but by and large it needs to be pointed to the target. So you get relative wind from it. So what I've done is I've set it up either on the left or the right of the spotting scope. So when the spotting scope is spotting for the target in question, then this is inherently pointed to the DOF. So that's how I've skinned that cat. Now what you could of course do, especially if there's turbulence where the spotter is put it on a different tripod. At the moment I've got the Leica CRF Pro on here, but I've got an Arca mount and I can just pop the ultrasound on there, and then I put this tripod wherever it is in the proper wind. So, you know, not, for example, the car might be in the way, or, you know, whatever it needs to be in the wind the bullet's going to see, so it needs moved around. But on a uncluttered range, shall we say, you could simply attach it alongside the spotter. So the way I've done that, the spotter is on an Arca rail and I've simply bought a longer Arca rail. If the wind is on the left of the spotter, I put it here. If the wind is on the right of the spotter, I put it in here. So that's how I'm pointing it to the target, and then it ascertains, how do I focus on that? It then ascertains how the wind is speed-wise and with regards to direction. And ultrasonic wind meters are entirely proven in the marine world and are very efficient, no moving parts, pretty tough, and are very, very accurate. So this is sort of new to shooting, especially integration into applied ballistics products, but the design is not new. So I'm going to talk about how best to integrate that into an efficient workflow for your shooting with the different devices. So let's talk about it connecting to its own app. Now, for it to connect to its own app, it's called Anemometer from Calypso. That app works on your phone or iPad, whatever, and you're going to get immediate instant refresh. So it's real-time wind and speed and direction, real-time. Now, for that, you don't need the applied ballistics version because it's just talking to its own app. Okay, so that is one option. And I'll show you a screenshot in a minute. But basically, you can change the screen from, you know, sort of sailing specific to weather specific to shooting specific. But what you're talking about is real-time, long-term, reliable connection. It connects, it works, nothing complicated to report. But you must know that it only will connect to one device. If it is even queried to be connected in, say, AB Quantum, then it will not be available to you for the app or anything else. We had a situation the other day where a chap using AB Quantum, it was in his devices that could be connected list, but not connected, just sitting there going, I'm available, and that stopped it being available everywhere else. So it is strictly one connection at a time. So that does mean if you're going to go to a range with half a dozen of them, they're all the rage here, and my guys who are shooting, you know, 2,000-3,000 yards, they've all got these, and we're rocking up in the morning and there's 4 guys with Calypsos, so you have to be careful that you don't all get tied in knots with regards to connectivity. But if you're a bit careful, what I do is I connect when I get in the car, and then it's connected to me, and it's not going to get snagged by someone else. It's also worth remembering that the battery on these is curious. You charge it in a not very easy way. For example, you have to turn it upside down on a wireless charging mat, where it will get knocked off, for example, if you're traveling or anything like that. So it's not connected, it doesn't magnetically clip on like an iPhone, it just sits there and it charges. Only in the app, the Calypso app, do you get any indication of this. There's no marks, there's no on switches, there's no LEDs. It then charges. It is not clear how long it takes to charge, whether you can overcharge it, undercharge it. It's all a bit plug it in, leave it a few hours and hope. And then it discharges from that moment on constantly. Now from charge to flat, I think it's about 3 days. There is talk about maybe a little more, but you've got to bear in mind that if you charge it the night before you shoot, it's already done 12 hours work before you even start. And then the first night at the range, it's going to be discharging all night long. There's no off switch. So what I do is I keep it topped up, and I'm therefore able to sort of count on it being reliable. But it's not a mature and quality product in that area, because that's all pretty shonky. I can't even find, there isn't even a standby mode where if you put it in a certain position it would go to sleep. It's all a bit charge it, then it goes flat, then charge it again. It's odd, but the battery will last several days, shall we say, working all day long. I set it up at 10 in the morning on my spotter, and it will absolutely do a day or 2.5 or 3, you know. So you needn't worry about a full day of shooting it being anything but solid. But you do have to have care with the charging protocol. Right, let's talk about the devices. So you connect it to one of the devices. The connection works very well, presuming that you are careful it isn't snagged anywhere else. This is on, this is on, this is on, my phone's on, God knows how I'm going to connect to it. All right, so what you've got to do is you've got to turn off everything that you're not using. I mean, there are other ways, but this is the easiest. So if I want it to connect to the Montana, I'm going to turn everything else off. And this is the same as any Garmin. I don't know if you can see the screen really here, but we're going to set up sensors, apply ballistics, and we can see that the W dot is there, and that will search and connect, presuming it's not connected to anything else at this time, which it shouldn't be. So when we're all sorted there, I wonder if I put this in shadow whether you might get a better sight of it. I hate these videos where people are trying to record screens. Right, so here's the output, standard Garmin AB stuff, and in environment this is auto updating. Now what that means on a Montana is 5 minutes. So my wind, angle, speed 1 and speed 2 will populate every so often. Now the good news with that system is that I can say, no, I'm not happy with 7, I want 4, because there's some cover that isn't here. So the station wind is wrong, as it often is, especially if you're not, if you're shooting in complicated terrain with cover, tree cover, high ground, high valleys, you're going to want to edit what it gives you. The problem with station wind, however fancy, is that by and large it's wrong, but it's still good data. So I would take what it reads and I would edit it. For example, if I'm shooting over this big valley, it doesn't look big here, but you're talking about a 300-foot valley there. You see where the road goes, and then there's a river at the bottom of that. So if I shoot across that onto this bank over here, I am in much higher wind because I'm much higher above the ground than I'm reading here. So I would want to edit the wind. So with a 5-minute refresh, I've got time to get an idea what this says. Oh my God, I'm going to give up looking at the screen. To look at what the device says and then tweak it. Certainly it would be useful for direction. Okay? Now what's interesting on the Montana is you can also go to environment, which is just 2 clicks away, press stop auto update, and then you're able to manually poll the Calypso at any moment, any time that suits you, and inform and populate wind 1, wind 2 and direction. So you have, with the Montana, a 5-minute refresh automatically, but you can manually poll it at the beginning of a new string, a new target, a new angle. And that's a good mix. It then works well. Now, the 901, same situation. You've got Garmin-based applied ballistics. So you go to connect, sensors, apply ballistics, there it is, providing it's not connected to anything else. I'm not going to show you on the screen because it's a mess in this sunshine. But what then happens is it will then update every minute on the 901, okay? Every minute. Now that is a bit quicker. It gives you time to overwrite it if you wish to, because station wind is wrong for cover and high air, like I said before. And then it will, while you're shooting, update. So 1 minute works pretty well. Now with the Garmin 901, you cannot manually populate the fields. You can't turn auto update off and then say what's wind 1, use Calypso, what's wind 2, use Calypso, what is direction of the wind, use Calypso. That is only available on the Montana. So there's these subtle differences that you all need to know. But comms with the 901, dead steady, updates every minute. The Kestrel is interesting. What happens with the Kestrel is it updates much more quickly. It's almost real time. And that is good in that you have real-time wind. If you're on a flat field with a light wind that is hard to read, that's moving around in direction and wafting around like a tricky fishtailing tailwind or headwind, then real-time wind can be useful. It can also be a pain in the arse if it's wrong, because it says 7 and you go, oh no, I've got a load of cover, I need to change that to 3 or 4 or whatever, but you put it in and then it immediately overwrites it. So we're torn here with the connectivity to these devices between, do you want it real time, which means you can't edit it, or do you want it slower, but then of course it's not showing you lulls and gusts, which is one of the reasons you may have been interested in it. So I've been down this route before with Bluetooth wind. It always creates nearly as many problems as it solves. And that's if it connects reliably. If you have to spend 10 minutes arsing about getting something connected when you should have been shooting, we are not winning through the use of technology. We are wasting time. So I've got very little patience for devices that don't give me what I want sharpish. So I must say, with an efficient workflow, being careful to turn the other devices off and, working around a few little kinks, the connectivity, battery life, reliability of this device is very spot on. And the accuracy and all of this is very commendable, and I do find it useful. But what I have actually settled on, believe it or not, is the KISS technique. And that is the person spotting has the phone open or the iPad open and the basic Calypso app, real-time wind, not in device, just on the app, and they call the wind to the shooters. And that means the shooters have got good data, better data than they did before, and yet they are able to take the decisions and make the analysis of the wind themselves as they enter it into their solver, whatever that solver may be. Now, that does mean that you could have bought the non-AB device, because the AB Calypso is what, $400, and I believe the normal non-AB one, which of course does exactly the same job with regard to its own app, is I believe only about 250, something like that, much cheaper. So I would probably, for most times, I would recommend that you keep your solver as it is, but get the non-AB version of the Calypso, run it next to your spotter or on a tripod facing the target, and then have your phone or iPad on that app, non-ballistics app, just the Calypso app, beside you as you shoot. So each string you fire, you can glance up and go, oh, the wind's come round from 7 to half past. The average speed has gone up a bit, or there's a new gust I've got to watch for, that sort of data. And that will make you shoot better, but without complicating your life. Because as I say, if it refreshes too much, you can't overwrite it. And if it refreshes too slowly, well, what's the point of it? So that's kind of what I've got to. Another thing that's worth mentioning is this is as of May the 9th. A month ago, none of this stuff worked. And there's a lot of bad press out there about this new kit. This is all about a firmware updating, new technology game, okay? Now, I waited a few months to get this because I knew nothing would work, and I also knew that AB were still building their quantum app. But as of the second week of May, I can say that comms and reliability are good, and that it works with all of the main AB devices in slightly different ways and with slightly different refresh rates, but it works. And I have, by and large, decided not to do the integration route, but to use it on the app to inform my decisions when I come to inputting my wind 1, wind 2 and direction. Now, the other thing that's worth mentioning is its integration into the AB Quantum app. The AB Quantum app is becoming so squared away, and it has transonic drag, which your apps previously have generally lacked. I know the old AB app had it, but it was so bloody vile and awful to use that it was unusably bad. Now the Quantum app is very, very sorted with transonic drag, and it's cheap. So it is going to kill a lot of Garmins and Kestrels off, because if you're happy with a touchscreen and a normal phone-based amount of toughness and waterproofing, which is their weakness, but if you aren't needing hardening and mil-spec and all this, then of course a touchscreen is always going to be actually easier to use than something like a Kestrel, where you've got to get to know the whole shebang and you're spending a lot more money. So the reason, apart from hardening and waterproofing and battery life, that one would buy a Kestrel or a Garmin AB, historically, people think it's the weather, but they're actually wrong. The reason you really want it is for the transonic drag, and you can now get that in an app. It's also becoming, the Quantum app is also becoming the hub for transmitting to the Kestrel, which used to be done by the rather annoying Kestrel Link Ballistics app, and of course it replaces AB Synapse for sending profiles to the Garmins. So it's really doing all that now, and it does that very nicely. I also like the fact that you can sync and back up your profiles to the cloud, so that if you drop your 901 off a mountain, you're not going to have to read through all your rifles, put all your speed in again, all of that. You can share with a QR code, got a lot going for it. But with regards to its integration with the AB Mini, it's arguably the best. So what happens is, it is giving you real-time wind, okay? Now, it shows you on the clock in half hours, but it's actually doing it in degrees. So you're actually getting 360 data points of wind rather than 24. So it's nice and accurate. It works seamlessly. And should you wish to overwrite it because of cover or a high wind, the bullet flying high above the air, high above the ground, and being in higher wind and different from station, all you have to do is press the button right there that says stop streaming. You overwrite it with your figures, having been guided by what it gave you. You then go, oh, there's my solution, and then you hit resume streaming and it goes back to real time. That is a pretty good way to skin the cat. And the integration into AB Quantum and the quality of wind data you're getting there is a new state of the art for shooters. And I really do recommend this product. But have a think, as I say, whether with the system that you have, say you've got a Kestrel, do you want it in there real time, or is that actually going to get in your way and you're going to trip over it? Would it be easier and cheaper to just have that on an app, especially if you have a spotter? And most of the time, certainly militarily and with regard to competition, you're generally talking about having someone spotting looking at the same target. So you've got your spotter there, they're looking at the target, they can, like I showed you on my little Arca rail, they can point the Calypso to the target so you get relative wind, and then they can call wind to you. So definitely worth getting. Query whether you actually need the integration, and you will have to work around the curious charging, and you will have to work around the fact that it really, really will only talk to one device at a time. But once you're paired, it's pretty solid. Basically now I think AB are working towards an ecosystem that's more cohesive, and that with the new Quantum app is really starting to work. I'm just testing this Leica CRF Pro, and it just works. It says AB on it, so it connects under the AB menu. Boom, done. You've got azimuth, inclination, range, done. It just works. If you want to connect it from your Kestrel to your Garmin, you turn off the Kestrel, turn on the Garmin, boom. The AB are getting their act together in a big way, and as the data improves, our shooting improves. So it's all very exciting. So that is my thoughts as of the 9th of May on the Calypso. What else do you need to know? Clearly, you need the latest firmware, guys. You can't play with new tech and begrudge firmware updates. You've got to look for them. You've got to whack them in. You've got to know the different apps that for example, there's an app called Configurator and Updater that Calypso do, and that's how you update the firmware. But then you can also update the firmware through AB Quantum. You've got to do all these things. Same with Garmin. You know, your Montana isn't going to work unless you've got the latest firmware. Same with the Kestrel. You've got to know all the apps. And with Garmin, there's a bit of an art to that. There's about 26 different apps for different little niches. You might have to connect with Connect, and then you might have to go into Explore, and you've got to bark up all these trees to make sure everything's up to date. But as of the 9th of May, this is very cool new kit, and certainly worth getting. All right, I'm now going to talk about the various level bubbles, and I've also done a 2024 scope roundup, so I'll get all these up on YouTube and we'll get the ball rolling. I'm also starting a Patreon channel where you can, wherever you are in the world, you can do my full ballistics course. So non-destructive truing, Garmin, Kestrel, AB Quantum setup, the very latest data-driven ballistics for, well, we're doing half minute at 3,000 yards. We're doing half minute all over the place. So you've got to really crush the noise down, and we are not walking it in here. So the course is popular here, but you can't come if you are 1,000 miles away, can you? So I'm putting it on Patreon so that the full latest gen course is there. Common problems that people have, you know, my vertical's out, what is it? I've seen that 500 times. It's going to be on this checklist. What is the checklist? Go. So all this is going to be on Patreon, but these sort of general help videos I'm going to put on YouTube for free. And yeah, get yourself a Calypso. Good bit of kit. Cheers, guys and girls.